The click of the lock was a sound I had never heard before, not here, not in our own home. It was a small final sound, a tiny metal tooth biting into the strike plate, and it echoed in the damp, dark space louder than any slam of a door. My heart, which had been a frantic bird against my ribs, simply stopped. Frank, my Frank, was a solid warmth beside me in the oppressive blackness. He did not shout, he did not rage, he did not even breathe heavily for a moment. Then his hand found mine in the dark, his fingers laced with mine, a familiar anchor in this sudden, terrifying sea. Quiet, he whispered, his voice a low rumble that vibrated through my shoulder pressed against his. I could not be quiet. A sob tore from my throat, raw and ugly. Mark, our boy with his father's kind eyes and my stubborn chin. He had looked at us with such coldness, such disgust. The men in sleek suits with sterile smiles had been polite, but firm. It was for the best, they said, this transition, they called it. Mark stood behind them, his arms crossed, his gaze fixed on some point past our shoulders. He thinks we are a burden. Alara, Frank said my name, a soft bomb in the darkness. He thinks our minds are gone, that we are ghosts rattling around in this old Brooklyn brownstone. He does not understand the memories in these walls are the only things holding us together. But the basement, I choked out, the air thick with the scent of old books and damp concrete. This is not a memory, Frank, this is a prison. Frank's hand squeezed mine tighter. No, he murmured, it is a sanctuary. He led me deeper into the blackness, my feet stumbling over unseen things. I knew this basement, every warped floorboard, every dusty shelf filled with the artifacts of our life, 50 years of love and loss and laughter. Frank's steps, however, were sure and certain. He was not a man stumbling in the dark. He was a man coming home. He stopped and I heard a faint rustling, then a click. A soft, warm golden light bloomed in the corner, chasing back the shadows. It was a single old lamp, its shade patched with tape plugged into an outlet I never knew was there, and arranged around it was a small island of our life, two worn but comfortable armchairs, a small table with two teacups, a stack of my favorite books, his old record player, a single vinyl disc waiting on the turntable. My breath hitched. What is this, Frank? His secret smile was visible in the lamplight, a glimpse of the young man. I fell in love with a man of quiet mischief and profound preparation. This, he said softly, is my insurance policy. I saw the way Mark looked at us these past months, the impatience, the embarrassment. I knew he would try to push us out, to sanitize our life, to sell our history. I could not stop him from getting the power of attorney, not without a fight that would break your heart. So I prepared this for us. Tears welled in my eyes, not of fear now, but of a bewildered love. You knew. I suspected, he said gently, leading me to one of the chairs. It is not much, but it is ours. He gestured to a small cooler tucked behind the armchair, water, some sandwiches, fruit, and there a door behind that old tapestry. He pointed to a heavy fabric hanging on the far wall. It leads to the old coal chute. It is overgrown with ivy, but I cleared it last week. We are not trapped, Alara, we are waiting. He put the record on the player, and the opening notes of our song filled the basement. Moonlight serenade, the night we met at that college dance a lifetime ago. The music wrapped around us, a spell against the darkness outside this little circle of light. And so we waited. The first day was the longest. We heard Mark walking above us, his footsteps heavy on the floorboards. We heard the murmur of voices, the men in suits probably appraising our furniture, pricing our memories. Each footstep was a nail in the coffin of my heart. Frank just held my hand, his thumb stroking my knuckles, his eyes closed, listening to the music. He is afraid, Alara, he said. Once he sees our age, our slowing steps, he sees it as decay. He does not see the life we still have left. He locked us in a basement, Frank, I whispered, my voice cracking. He is lost, Frank replied, his voice steady. But he is still our son. At night Frank would tell me stories, his voice a low steady river in the dark. He did not speak of the present or the bleak future Mark was crafting. He spoke of the past, of the day we brought Mark home from the hospital, a tiny squalling bundle of promise. He spoke of teaching him to ride a bike on this very street, the sound of his laughter echoing from the brownstone walls. He spoke of camping trips in the Adirondacks, of Christmases with the tree touching the ceiling of the time market 7. Tried to make us breakfast in bed and set off the smoke alarm. He is in there, Alara, Frank whispered, his story finished. He is just buried under fear and pride. and a world that told him his parents were obsolete. On the third day we heard a different sound. It was not the brisk, efficient footsteps of the strangers. It was a single set of steps, hesitant and slow. They came down the main stairs, then paused at the top of the basement stairs. Silence, then the slow creak of the door at the top opening. A sliver of light from the hallway cut through the darkness of our stairwell. It was not the bright, clinical light we had been shoved into days before. It was the warm yellow glow of the hall sconce, a light I had turned on and off 1,000 times. Mark stood there silhouetted in the doorway. He did not turn on the basement's overhead light. He just stood there looking down into our little pool of lamplight. We did not speak, we just looked at him. Frank's hand was still in mine, a solid, unyielding comfort. He took a step down, then another. His face came into the light. It was ravaged. His eyes were red-rimmed and swollen. His skin was pale. He looked like the little boy who had come home crying after losing his first big baseball game. He saw it all: the 2 armchairs, the record player now silent, the teacups, the cooler, the tapestry hiding the secret exit. He saw that we were not 2 helpless, confused old people huddled in the dark. We were a couple in our sitting room waiting. His gaze traveled over every detail of Frank's secret sanctuary, and his face crumpled. The arrogance, the coldness, the impatience, it all melted away, leaving only a profound, shocking shame. He did not say anything for a long time. He just stood on the stairs, his shoulders shaking with silent sobs. He looked at Frank, and then at me, and in his eyes I saw my son again. "Mom," he finally choked out the word. "A broken thing, Dad." Frank stood up slowly, his joints protesting the movement. He did not look angry. He did not look triumphant. He looked like a father seeing his child in immense pain. He walked to the base of the stairs and looked up at Mark. "You thought you were locking us away, son," Frank said, his voice gentle but firm. "You thought you were putting away the past. But you cannot lock away a life. You cannot sell 50 years of love." Mark stumbled down the last few steps and fell to his knees on the concrete floor. He buried his face in his hands. His body was racked with great heaving sobs. "I am so sorry." He wept. "I am so sorry. I was ashamed. I was scared. The job, the pressure. Everyone said it was the right thing to do, that you were a danger to yourselves. I thought I was helping. I thought." I left my chair and went to him. I knelt on the cold, hard floor and put my arms around my boy. He was 50 years old. But in that moment he was 8 and had skinned his knee. He was 16 and his heart was broken. He was my son. I wrapped my arms around his shaking shoulders and held him. Frank placed a hand on Mark's head, a simple, timeless gesture of paternal blessing. "It is okay, son," Frank murmured. "We are still here." Mark looked up, his face streaked with tears, his eyes desperate. "How?" he asked, his voice raw. "How can you be so calm? How did you, Dad?" "This place," he gestured weakly at the lamplight, "the chairs. How did you know?" Frank smiled, a small, sad smile. "Because I know what it is to be afraid, Mark. I know what it is to feel the world moving too fast and to want to control it. But you control it by holding on to what matters, not by throwing it away. I built this not to defy you, but to protect her, to protect us, to protect the story of our family, until you were ready to remember it." Mark's breath hitched. He looked from Frank's calm, understanding face to my tearful but forgiving one, and something broke open inside him. "I do not want the house," he whispered. "I do not want any of it. I want you back. I want to hear the stories again. I want to know about how you met. I want to know about the camping trips. I was such a fool." Frank reached down and helped him to his feet. Then he did something he had not done in 30 years. He pulled our son into a full, fierce embrace. "You were not a fool," Frank said, his voice thick with emotion. "Now you were lost, and we are here to help you find your way home." We walked up the basement stairs together, the 3 of us, Mark's arm around my shoulders, Frank's hand on his back. The house above was in disarray. Boxes were packed, furniture was moved. But it did not feel like a violation anymore. It felt like a storm that had passed. Mark made us tea in our own kitchen, his hands trembling as he filled the kettle. He canceled the arrangements with the facility. He fired the smooth-talking men in suits. He spent the rest of the day unpacking the boxes, putting our life back onto the shelves and walls. That evening we sat in the living room, not the basement. The lights were soft. Our song was playing softly from the living room speakers. Mark sat on the floor at our feet, like he did when he was a child, leaning against my legs. "Tell me," he said, his voice quiet, "tell me about the day you brought me home from the hospital." And Frank began to speak. His voice was the same steady river, but now it flowed in the light. He spoke of a young couple terrified and exhilarated, carrying their newborn son over the threshold of this very house. He spoke of the overwhelming love, the fierce protectiveness, the boundless hope. I looked at my husband in the lamplight. I looked at my son listening with rapt attention. And I knew Frank's secret was not just a hidden room in the basement. It was the unshakable belief that love is stronger than fear, that memory is more durable than lock and key, that family is not a thing to be managed, but a story to be cherished, and sometimes that story needs a quiet, dark place to wait until the next chapter can begin. Our son had locked us in the basement, but my husband had whispered, "Quiet, I have a secret." And his secret was not an escape route or a stash of food. It was the simple, enduring truth that love always finds a way home. The silence that settled after Frank's story was not empty, it was full. It was a living, breathing thing woven from 50 years of memory, and the fragile new threads of forgiveness. Mark did not move from his place on the floor, his head resting against my knee, a solid, warm weight that felt like a miracle. Frank's hand found mine on the armrest, his thumb tracing the familiar landscape of my knuckles, a silent conversation that needed no words. The house around us still bore the scars of the intended purge. A stack of packed boxes formed a cardboard fortress in the corner. A gap on the wall showed the ghost of a painting long loved. Mark followed my gaze, and a fresh wave of shame flushed his neck. "Tomorrow," he said, his voice raspy from tears, "I will undo all of it, every single box, every paper signed. I will make it right." Frank shook his head slowly, his eyes soft. "Not tomorrow, son, tonight. We are here together. That is enough for now." But Mark's guilt was a relentless engine. "I need to understand, Dad," he insisted, turning to look up at Frank. How could you be so ready? How long had you been planning that room down there?" Frank took a slow breath. "I did not plan for my son to lock me in a basement, Mark," he said gently. "I planned for a storm. I am an old man. I have lived long enough to know that storms come. They come as sickness, as loss, as fear, as a child who forgets who you are. I saw the look in your eyes months ago, the frustration when I repeated a story, the impatience when your mother could not find a word, the embarrassment when we walked too slow on the sidewalk. I saw you listening to those men with their clipboards and their calm, rational voices. I knew they were offering you an easy way out, a clean break from the messy, inconvenient reality of your aging parents." He paused, his gaze drifting to the window where the lights of New York glittered like a field of cold stars. "So I prepared a life raft, not for me. I can face anything, but for her, for your mother. Her memories, her peace, are my only country, Mark. I would defend its borders with my last breath. The basement was not a weapon against you. It was a shelter for us, a place where we could wait for the storm to pass, or for the rescue to come." Mark's face crumpled. "I was the storm," he whispered. "No," Frank said, "you were lost in one. And a lost ship sometimes rams the very lighthouse trying to guide it home." We talked then as we had not talked in years. The night deep in the city sounds a distant symphony beyond our windows. Mark spoke, his voice gaining strength as he unburdened himself. He spoke of the pressure. He felt the constant race to keep up in his career, the fear of failure that gnawed at him. He confessed that seeing us age, seeing our world shrink, felt like a preview of his own inevitable decline. And it terrified him, our slowness, our contentment with simple things, our refusal to be digitally optimized. It all seemed like a verdict on his own frantic life. "We were a mirror," he said finally, "and I hated what I saw in it. I thought if I could just tidy you away, put you in a nice, clean, safe place, then I would not have to look at it. I would not have to think about time and what it takes." "Oh, Mark," I said, my hand stroking his hair, "just as I had when he was small. It takes everything in the end. But it also gives everything it takes. It gives back in memory and love if you let it." We must have fallen asleep there in the living room, the three of us. I woke in the deep quiet of the pre-dawn hours, curled against Frank on the sofa. A blanket had been draped over us. Mark was gone from the floor. A spike of irrational fear pierced my heart. Had he changed his mind? Had the shame been too much? But then I heard it, a soft, steady scraping sound from the basement. I nudged Frank awake. We exchanged a look and rose silently, moving through the shadowy house. The door to the basement was open, warm light spilling up the stairs. The scraping was louder now, interspersed with the sound of heavy objects being dragged. We descended the steps together. The scene that greeted us was one of such profound transformation that I had to grip the railing to steady myself. Mark, his shirt soaked with sweat, was a man possessed. He had single-handedly moved the heavy old steamer trunk that had blocked the far wall. He had cleared away decades of accumulated clutter, creating a wide, clean space around Frank's secret sanctuary. The two armchairs were now flanked by a small bookshelf he must have brought down from his old room, filled with our favorite novels and photo albums. He had found the old Persian rug from the guest bedroom and laid it down, its faded colors bringing warmth to the cold concrete. In the small space, we were not just covering gray concrete, we were sealing over the memory of the lock, the fear, the darkness. When it was done, it was beautiful. The yellow walls glowed in the lamplight. The bookshelf stood proud. The record player now had a proper stand. Frank's secret basement was gone. In its place was the heart of our home, a room built not from fear but from redemption. It was there a month later that Mark brought a woman home. Her name was Clara. She was a librarian with kind eyes and a quiet smile. She did not look at us with pity or impatience. She looked at us with interest. Mark introduced us not as his elderly parents who needed managing, but as his mom and dad, the storytellers. We sat in the yellow basement room. Frank put on Moonlight Serenade, and I saw Clara's foot tap gently to the rhythm. Mark watched her, a small, hopeful smile on his face. And then he looked at us, and his eyes said thank you. Later that night, after Clara had left, Mark stayed with us in the basement room. He was quiet for a long time, staring into the lamplight. I get it now, he said finally. What you have, it is not about avoiding the storm, it is about knowing how to build a fire inside it. You built a fire down here with 2 chairs and a record player. You built a fire in me when I was cold and lost. Frank nodded. It is all you can ever do, son. The world will always be loud and cold and busy. Your job is not to silence it. Your job is to find your quiet song and play it for the people you love. The seasons turned. The leaves on the tree outside our Brooklyn window blazed red and gold, then fell. Mark and Clara were married, a small, simple ceremony in our backyard under that same tree. Frank's back was too stiff for dancing, but he stood and held me, swaying gently to their song as Mark and Clara spun in the center of the lawn, his face radiant with a joy I had not seen since he was a boy. They bought a house not far away, close enough for Sunday dinners, for impromptu cups of tea. They did not try to change us, they joined us. They added their own melodies to our song. One evening, Frank and I were alone in our yellow basement room. The record was spinning, a soft jazz tune we both loved. He was in his armchair, I was in mine, our hands stretched across the gap between us, fingers intertwined. He looked at me, his eyes the same clear blue they had been 50 years ago, though framed by a lifetime of laughter. You know, Alara, he said, his voice a soft rumble, my secret, it was never really about the basement or the food or the escape route. I know, I whispered, smiling, it was about the song. It was about the song, he agreed. It was about making sure our music never stopped. He was quiet for a moment, then he squeezed my hand. And it will not, he said, it will not. We sat there in the warm pool of light in the room our son had helped us build, listening to the music that had carried us through a lifetime. The lock on the door was gone now, but we did not need it. The only thing that held us now was love. And it was the one force in the universe that needed no key, that recognized no walls, that flourished even in the dark, waiting patiently for the light to find its way back in. Our own son had locked us in the basement, but my husband had whispered quiet, I have a secret, and his secret had saved us all.